All right, guys, we are back with another episode of Give It to the People Live. So I want to welcome you guys out to another episode this week. And I am excited because I have a new guest on that is super accomplished. But I always bring on great people, right? And so this guest, let me tell you how we met virtually, actually, because of She Podcast. And so I can't thank the She Podcast family more for just being able to introduce me to new people. And it helps me to grow as a person, as a business. And of course, if I'm growing, you're growing too. So this is what it is. Give It to the People Live is our weekly live stream that we do. And we broadcast it live on YouTube so that this way, anyone in the world could see it. But we focus on women-owned and BIPOC businesses. And then we also bring on people who support those organizations or those types of businesses as well. So this week, I'm going to introduce, if you have not met her, because she's been missing in action. I think she took a little summer vacation, but this is Tammy. Okay. Hey, so this is Tammy Faye, Tambourine Brown. She's usually my co-host. And so she was taking a vacation, but I said, this great guest, Ande Lyons, that's coming on today, we definitely need to bring Tammy back out for her. So I'm going to bring on Ande without any further ado. How are you today? Oh, and she's got clappers. Yes. Now, this is going to be a good episode. We have all of the things going on.
I saw that Tammy, and I said, I got to bring on my clappers.
Yes.
I'm so honored to be here and be on an episode of Give It to the People. So delighted. And as I said in the comments section during your segment of She Podcast, you drop gems like nobody's business. It's just so amazing. And we're so grateful that you're here adding wisdom and edutaining us all the time to help us stay focused and keep moving forward in spite of sometimes the lack of evidence, right?
Yeah, no, and I appreciated that because she was just one of those people that's so just if you want to use the word magical, but I think it's just the energy. And you know how sometimes you're doing things online and you can't see everybody. And so you want to hope that the energy that you're giving is received. And you were definitely giving back that energy that I was putting out. So I appreciated that so much. Now, let's get into you specifically. So we're just going to jump right in. You have a brand new business, okay? I mean, brand new in the sense of like you're really super launching it. And tell everybody about Ande Lyons Productions and how you got started.
Oh my gosh. Well, hi, everyone. I am now a 5 times founder. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah. So I've had heavily VC-backed business, food business, and everything, businesses. And now I'm feeling called to have this production company where I can launch more meaningful podcasts. Not that my other work wasn't meaningful in the startup world. I just spent 8 years helping founders grow and glow globally with their with their businesses. But now this is all my businesses I've been called to do. It's so strange. I did, a lot of people will ask, well, what's your founder product market fit and all those questions. I'm like, no, never had that. I just get called to go do something and I do it. So I'm a little bit divinely led, but I also bring some serious smarty pants business. And so for the last few decades, because I'm that old, I have seen beautiful tattoos on people, body art. And I always ask them, oh, would you be willing to tell me your ink story? And their eyes light up. I mean, just yesterday at the gym, I asked someone and her eyes lit up to tell me about her koi fish tattoo. And they tell me these great stories about how it happened. So in the back of my head for the last year, kind of like knocking softly, said, you've got to start this. You've got to launch this, Ande. I'm like, what? I'm really into my lane here. I'm really having a good time in the startup world. Nope. Had to do it. And it became very clear in April. And so I wrapped up this wonderful time period as a mentor and a startup champion. And now I'm really owning my producer because I have been podcasting and live streaming since 2012. Okay. And it is a love, but I always did it as a funnel for my other businesses. And now I want to do it full time.
No, I love that. And I mean, that's one of the things that I would say, like, if I could just podcast full time. And I don't think that it's that I couldn't. I just think that sometimes you have to have a little shift in priorities, right?
That's right.
What I want to know from what you just told us is, and this is not a question that I sent to you. I told you I was going to throw some things out, but you sparked something in me that made me feel like, let me ask this now. You have stopped doing other businesses, right? And so is there like a level of fear, or is there some type of something that makes you transition to want to do something else? Because for a lot of people, just going from one business to try to get two is something, but now you're into 5 different businesses. And so I think that, based on the fact that they're so different from each other, but you're still
Right.
using your skill set, is there some type of fear in between there, or just, you're just transitioning because it's natural?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question, because my .com,
Mm-hmm.
it ended because it was a .com. I mean, I raised $8 million. We had a really great run, got up to 50 employees, and then everything imploded. We were really close to having revenue in just such a short period of time, but not close enough, and we imploded. And again, yeah, I've been unemployable since 1992. I've fallen off the wagon a few times, and so it was after 9/11 that I launched a food business, had a great run, scaled it nationally in less than 2 years, because I didn't go shelf. I went food service
Yeah.
and leveraged my minority owned business status, and was about to take it after almost 5 years to what I call the Kellogg's route and get
Uh-huh.
it manufactured in the Midwest, when 2 of my ingredients got hit agriculturally and wiped out. And then my manufacturing facility got hit by lightning and burned to the ground. And then my husband got laid off. And it was really like in a very short period of time, all of these events. And I had to close it down, and I cried for forever. I mean, for months. And I was angry at God and the whole 9 yards.
Mhm.
And my other businesses, though, have had a nice completion. It's been more of a journey.
Mhm.
So the remaining businesses that I've had since then, the other 2 businesses, they were, I used my charming personality versus other people's money to launch them, bootstrapped. And, when it became complete, it was just a little gentle, you're done.
A little nudge.
A
Okay.
little nudge. And so, folks, we hear so many mythologies
Mm.
in the world of being business owners. You do what's right for you. And just like some relationships have a season,
Yes.
businesses have a season. So your ability to sort of understand that it's added value to you and your customers, but no longer is needed, and your energy. And this is what Seth Godin talks about in his book, The Dip. Sometimes our energy is needed elsewhere, and our efforts are needed elsewhere. And
Yes.
so it's time. And you've learned things from that business that you need to now take to another level in a different way.
Yeah. So now one of the other questions would be, so why do you always win when you launch a business?
Oh,
No matter what happens, because we talked about kind of like the failure part of it, but why do you always win?
everyone, I'm telling you, no matter what happens when you launch a business, you will win, because, and I don't want anybody sitting on the fence, I want you to go do it, because you are going to tap into parts of yourself that you would never, ever, ever experience. It is the best personal development program out there in the world. And you're going to find out parts of yourself, and you're going to solve problems that you never thought you would have had the capability. You're going to learn things because you don't know what you don't know. And all of a sudden you have to be Googling everything while you're launching that business. And hey, you could end up like learning a very important thing. Entrepreneurship and business ownership is not for you.
Mm.
Hooray. You're going to go back into another company, be hired, and you're going to make more money. You're going to come in at a better title and responsibility, and you're going to bring so many transferable skills. Or if you really love the journey, but that first business was a disaster, you've got another one in the queue. You know that. And you're going to go do it, and you're going to start it and launch it, and be a much better business owner. And then you're going to go learn some more things, just like having kids. You're never prepared.
Mhm. No, I love the positivity in that. And I think that sometimes people are so scared to fail in the first place, or they have this expectation that it's going to be, rainbows and moonbeams. And then sometimes it's a whole lot of dark skies before you get to those rainbows and moonbeams. And they just have to realize that you have to keep going. Right. And so the launching part, to me, that's the easy part. It's the keeping it together and continuing it that is the more difficult part of just being an entrepreneur and making up your mind that this is really what I want to do. Now, when you look at this and we talk about just business in general, we consider this kind of like a roller coaster ride. So it's a up and it's a down kind of thing. So how can people manage that roller coaster? Because for me, I always look at mental health. And we like to call it mental wealth over here, getting your mind right and your money right, and understanding it's going to be an up day, it's going to be a down day. And that's not for everybody. Some people just cannot handle that, where they need to know, listen, I'm going to get a check every 2 weeks or every week or every month. And for other people like us, it's like, okay, well, let's see what happens.
And magic happens, miracles happen, and disasters happen. That's
Yes.
all part of the roller coaster ride. And I always say to folks, 1 minute you're popping the champagne, the next minute you're crying into it. It's really hard. Or you're sleeping like a baby at night, waking up every 2 hours crying. And the thing they have to, you have to remember this. Anybody who's launching a business, first of all, be curious. Do not look at it as an experiment. Your business is out here. It is not you. Do not attach your self-worth to your business. You are already divine and wonderful and happening in so many great ways. Your business, it's an experiment, period, end of story. So when you stay curious and pull on threads and stuff, you're able to see solutions so much faster. And then the other thing that's so important is peer support. Please do not rely on your family and friends to help you through this. They're not entrepreneurs usually. They're watching you like a train wreck ready to happen, ready to pick up the pieces and tell you to go get a paycheck job because they can't handle watching you. Do not take your fears and concerns to them. Find your peer group, other founders. They know what you're going through. Other business owners can sit there and relate, and you can go and chew on that rag for a long time, and nobody's going to walk away, feeling worse. Your family and friends will always be there in the background, of course, but do not rely on them.
No, I love that, because we have this thing that we've been working on called the entrepreneurial urge. And when you say that, it's kind of like only other entrepreneurs will really understand this pull that you have, at the heartstrings, at the mind strings, because they have been through it. And so it's a lot different when you have the security of going to a job, right? But I do believe that people can do those things simultaneously. You can start while you're at your company. But one thing that you said that I thought was really interesting, and I think this is a problem that a lot of us have, is detaching ourselves from the business. Now, I'm going to be honest, that is not my strength, right? Like, I am so embedded in it that I don't think I could be one of those people who's just like, okay, I'm going to sell it. Like, I just have that it's my baby feeling, right? Now, I've started and stopped things, but what is some of your advice to kind of let go a little bit and not be so I am the business, right? Like I always tell people, you are a person that has a business, but how do you let go of that emotionally?
That is so important because you have given birth to this idea. You have raised it. You've been up all night like you would a newborn, right? And you've gotten it to this point. And also when you show up in the world, you are the CEO, founder, owner, whatever of this business. And that feels great, right? Mm-hmm. But I always tell people in the background, you really need to have a number so that if someone comes along and says, we want to buy you because we like what you're doing, we want to diversify, have an idea of what that is and know that you'll have a backup plan, just like that woman Joy with all of her business products that did the movie about. Mm-hmm. But also, you have to look yourself in the mirror and know that you are a valuable human being, not because of your business, not because of success, not because what other people say, not because of the vanity likes that you're getting on all your comments and posts, or that you're an influencer or whatever. You are a valuable human being because you decide so, and it is your innate right. And you just have to keep cutting the cords of your business and staying curious and working on your business as much as possible versus in it. And try to just remember, yes, you could have a lifestyle business and that's wonderful, but it's still not you. Your service, you're providing your great energy and all of that, but you could provide that with another service. You are going to go from one business to another and bring your deliciousness, but that business is not you. And it's just a constant practice. And sometimes you have to really see yourself. And other days you're just like, look, because what happens is that if your business isn't doing well, for whatever reason, and this is what a lot of people don't talk about, there are outside circumstances that will shut your business down. Regulations can change. Things you have no control over can change the landscape for the work you do in the world. So you being attached to your business like that will not serve you. You have to keep putting yourself out and putting on that curiosity cap as an owner. Even you lifestyle folks, Seriously, I know how hard it is. Been there, done that, have the tiara.
No, I mean, I am glad you said it. And in a way that you said it, I think it felt really warm, right? Like it felt like a hug. And it's kind of like you could let go a little bit. And I fully understand that, because I think sometimes when you're so embedded, you feel like if something goes wrong, it's an attack on you.
Right.
And it's not you, I mean, it is the business, and you have to be able to separate those. So I love the way that you explain that. Now,
Well, wait a minute. I
go
got
ahead.
something to add to that, which is that as your business evolves, you have to bring people in with different skill sets than yours. So
Mm,
that's another thing. Even again, if it's a lifestyle, you may have to have freelancers that are coming in. That's another way to keep it easy to say, you know what, I'm good at maybe the vision. I'm good at this, or I'm good at delivering the Andeliciousness. But you know what, I need people who can execute in this way. And again, that helps you delegate, and that helps you be a better business owner. Okay, sorry for that.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people are scared to let go, why they are scared to delegate in the first place. And so I think that what happens is we reach a point in business where we have to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are just to, our capacity. And that's one of my favorite words to use. Like, listen, I'm at capacity. I'm not going to be able to do anymore, And so when people say, well, I would love for you to, can we add on? And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it sounds good, but you need to say no, because you've reached the capacity. And if you don't say no, then you're going to be in a terrible situation. And so you have to really kind of look at what your capacity is and the ability to be able to hire somebody else to help you to grow, like you just said. Yeah, no.
And then it goes back to that, you will always win when you launch a business, because the biggest lesson we can all learn as humans is our worthiness does not depend on anything outside of us, ever. And our businesses teach us so much, right?
No, they do. Trust me. Mine has taught me so many. I tell people I fired myself so many times, and then I rehire myself because, I'm always going to be great. But I think sometimes you just reach this threshold of, listen, I don't have the clarity I need right now, or this is not working. So what else can I do differently? And so I kind of look at it like this, like when we talk about things like a business plan or a lean canvas, right? And we're looking at how to kind of map it out. It sounds good. It looks good on paper, but then reality comes in, and reality is like, whatever you said, crumble, right? then you have to recuperate. Like, you have to get it back. And so, how can you bounce back? Because for you, I mean, I can't even imagine the business burning down, the husband being laid up at the same time. Like, how did you bounce back from that to be able to just continue to function? Yeah.
It took a while to bounce back from that. It was not easy. And, the thing is that businesses fail, startups fail all the time, abundantly, because our great idea that we think everybody else will want, we don't take the time to prove that through customer exploration, user experiences, etc. And the thing that will stop your business in its tracks is that nobody wants it. Nobody wants to buy it. That idea was a disaster at this point in time. However, Airbnb, for example, and Uber, right, would never have succeeded if we hadn't had such an economic fallout because, before 2008, people like, I'm not getting in a stranger's car. I'm not letting a stranger in my home. The next, after 2000, I need some money. Yeah, I'll drive you. Yeah, I'll get in your car. I'll get you. Come on. I got an extra room in my house. I'll charge you for it. That had to happen. They've been working on those businesses for 5 years or more. Mm-hmm. But it took that outside circumstance to happen for it to be successful. Mm-hmm. So now I can't remember what we were talking about, because it just
that was still good, because I mean, it kind of transitioned us to you going from this was something that you couldn't control it happen, and being able to bounce back from it. Right. And even with that, and talking about now, so now you have this new business. Let's jump into that and tell us about the production side.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then who you're interested in producing.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so exciting for me, because what I learned over the last 3 years, so I launched Startup Life Live Show. I went live for over an hour, twice a week, interviewing founders about the aspects of their business, not just why they launched it, but how did they figure out customer acquisition and the costs and how do they raise money and all the nitty gritty parts of their business. And so I learned through that I loved producing. And I felt that I needed to find something that was a little easier and more human interest because, founders are very busy. And so I wanted to have more engagement and I wanted to bring something that I could show what we have in common. Our lizard brains are always looking for what makes us different. And so when this idea came to me, I said, wow, this is the first time I'm actually going to launch a podcast. This will be my 5th podcast. That I'm actually launching it as a producer, not as a funnel, a lead generator. And so it's been very interesting going into it with that mindset because it will be about sponsors. It will be about downloads. It will be about reaching more people and having that meaningfulness to it because, a lot of times businesses are launched because people are looking for meaning and purpose that they can't find any other way. And meaning and purpose outweighs happiness any day of the week. It leads to happiness, actually. And so for me, as I did my user experience, I started talking to people with tattoos who don't have tattoos. Would you be interested? Oh my gosh, I've got some great information. And I'm starting to now, put together, we learned at She Podcast about how to create the right intro trailer. So I'm writing that up and I'll produce that. And all the things that I never took the time out to learn about this craft. I just did it.
I know. Yeah.
And I'm very excited. And I hope to launch by the first week in August.
Okay. And so even when you talk about just learning some new things, something like She Podcast, where it's people from all over the world, right? And they're teaching you things. You've done this before, right? You've already had 4 of them. And now you're like, listen, I'm going to jump in one more time. I'm going to do the 5th one, right? What was the benefit of you being a part of a conference like that in relation to, I already have this experience, but you learn some new things. Like,
oh my things. I could go on forever. First of all, you always have to up your game, everybody, every day. Okay. Get out that tambourine and the clappers on that. It's always about upping your game and listening to folks and going, ooh, that's a great idea. Jot that down. Oh, I need to do better at that. Oh, that's how that's done. Oh, I never learned that. I never knew that. So where some people are still getting used to how to have a voice, I already got that down. How to, create and produce a really good show. Yeah, I know how to do that, but there's so many other things I didn't know how to do. And so going to an event like She Podcast, no matter what business industry you are in, you always have to continually up your founder game.
Yeah, you do. And I listen to, I don't even know how many different ones. And I was so enthralled that I was listening to 2 at the same time. Like I would have one on the computer and then one in my ear. Cause I was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna try to knock both of these out at the same time. And I just found like with my session, it seemed like a lot of people were, they were excited, right? Like, I think that because everybody was totally different and I'm just, I think me and you have that excitable gene to each other, right? But they just seemed excited to learn. And so you came to my session. What did you think about that? Like, what was one takeaway you had from that session?
Well, approach it like a business. Okay. Hello, snap. I mean, come on, right? From the trademark to the, legal docs, everything. It is so important. And I had treated all my podcasts as, again, a lead gen, sidebar, whatever. And so now, because of you and listening, oh yeah, I've got to remember to do this. I've got to get that done. Buttoning it up and seeing it as the business it's going to be. And that was the overall gem that I grabbed from you is to, yes, this needs so I had gotten the phone with Sankita, my attorney, and we are buttoning up that, talent when the onboarding guests, all of the other legal things involved that I had never done before. So, but also just your enthusiasm for having a business was contagious.
I do love it. I do love it. And then it's so interesting to me, like when you, because it is a difference, right? If
Yeah.
you have a person that they're just doing it because it's a hobby, or they just want to talk to their friends and this was just a way for them to get together. Because some people, that's a way for them to get together and drink and eat, right?
Right.
Which that's fine. But for people like us, we want to monetize it. And so I'm interested in the part where you said, well, listen, I always use it as a lead generator. So can you speak a little bit to that? Because you had other businesses and
Oh,
the
yeah.
was like, come on and listen to this. And so you'll pay attention to that.
Yeah. So like, for example, the Startup Life Live show, that was for my mentoring. Oh, you want me to help you with this? These are my fees. You want me to help you with your pitch deck? It was all leading to what I did as a mentor to founders. When I had my business Bring Back Desire, that's a whole nother story. It was about talking about relationships, long-term relationships, how to stay tuned in and turned on so that they would go to the website and I could make money on the procurements and other things that were happening on there. So that to me always led to my services that I was providing. Increasing brand awareness is so important. You're not going to get it any better way than having a podcast because of all the links. And especially if you're interviewing guests and they're amplifying the show, and it increases you and your work and your visibility. And it's a nice little PR vehicle for you and your business as well.
I love that. You summed it up so well. Now, how did you kind of like choose your guests? Because like now, before you were looking for founders, now you're looking for people with ink, but you still want them to have a story that goes along with it.
Oh, girlfriend.
How are you kind of like just even going about that for, the audience that you want to talk to?
Guest curation, if you're an interviewer person, is a skill set they do not talk about. They talk about it like on the NPR level, or the big, but not at our indie podcast level. And you have to understand your listeners' times are valuable. And you want to make sure the person that you're interviewing has a story that you can knit together and tease out and pull together so everybody has an experience and I'm sure you talk about this with your folks, your brand promise is everything. And that brand promise that you're giving people is that you are going to consistently deliver an emotional experience that they can count on day in and day out when they do business with you, or in this case, listen to the podcast. So I'm curious to see how I do at this because,
yeah,
it's hard. And a lot of people who do guest interviews tend to bring in famous people initially because they want that to be sent out to that famous person's bajillion email list. And I tend to be more of an organic person.
Yeah.
And so I want everyday walks of life and be able to have those conversations, keep it to about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I'll have to let you know. I put together my guests and start doing that part. Yeah, something new to learn.
Yes, something new. Now, you have a comment here. Step Shep says, Andy, I love the interview you did with the CEO of Information Systems Builder, Cindy Fauso. So, you got a fan on here.
That's right. Thank you for saying that. That was a fun conversation with Cindy, talking about how, a lot of tech founders do not know how to brand or market their businesses. So her systems builder business is the fact that this is a company that helps take care of that for you and remind you to do that, especially in the tech industry, startup industry, where they're all about the great idea and the great app or the great technology, but forget they have to do the tough part, which is sell.
Yeah, no. And I mean, that's an important thing too. A lot of people just act like the marketing is like not even a primary concern, but how are people going to know about the product? And that's why I love what you said about coming onto podcasts, being able to tell people what you do, being able to have that brand awareness. And that's why I wish more people would, take guesting as an important factor for their businesses. Now, one question here. What is the most dynamic compliment that you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. Probably, and I get this consistently, that the caliber of my interview is right up there with CNBC, MSNBC, high caliber interview as if I were a major broadcaster and producer.
Ooh, that's wonderful though. But the thing is that I think that's interesting about this space that we're in is there are people that are millionaires and you don't even know about them. You know what I mean? This is something that could create that type of revenue, and you don't have to be signed to a major. You could just be as fabulous as you are.
And sponsors are out there. They want quality. They want somebody, you know, that's relatable that they can sponsor, something that has enough of a well-produced vibe to it. You can be an indie podcaster and make a lot of money on sponsorship.
Yes, I love that. Now, if you could leave our guests with a motivational word or phrase, what would that be?
Don't be caged by your age.
Ooh.
When I turned 50, I thought my entrepreneurship days were over, and I'm 66 now, and this will be my third business and since I turned 50.
Wow.
So you cannot be caged by your age. You have so much to give, and do not let just people say, "Oh, well, in my case, you're a boomer. What do you know about technology?" Oh, don't get me started. You
Uh-huh.
know, it says that you can't podcast because you're too old. No, no, no. Or you can't do something because you're too young. No, no, no. Do not be caged by your age.
Oh my God, that was the perfect way to end this, Andy. And look, we need to have a whole nother conversation because I was going to bring technology into this, but I was like, no, let's stay focused in the podcast area. And I just appreciate you coming on today. Like, this
I'm
has been
so
a great,
grateful.
quick little 30 minutes. Everybody that's on watching live, we appreciate you guys. And if you're watching on the replay, you can always still leave comments because we go and we check those as well. And then we reshare those too. And so, Andy, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I don't have any ink, but
I don't either.
listen, if I had somebody that I know that has a great story, I'm going to send them your way for sure, because I just imagine that this is getting ready to be a whole nother avenue of self-exploration for other people that I think is probably going to be really gratifying for you as a producer.
Well, there's a lot of human stories that we all have share in common: grief, loss, love, joy, milestones that people put on their body as important art. And so it'll be fun. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so delighted to be here. Wishing everybody a delicious day everywhere you glow.
Delicious days, everybody. All right. Thank you so much. Make sure that every time that you see that we're on, we Give It to the People Live, that you show up and you show out, because you know we're going to give it to the people. Bye, guys.